You are listening to Bearcat Insider with everybody's favorite assistant coach, Travis Marsh, and I'm Chance Kirby. Now to the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bearcat Insider. This is Coach Marsh, and I'm here with Pilot Point's favorite son, real estate broker extraordinaire, godfather of PilotPointBearcats.com. The list could go on, but
it's a family show.
His name's Chance Kirby.
Yeah.
And he currently looks like Coach Joey Stone with his hipster black thick-rimmed glasses, which is cool. I like Coach Stone, so that makes me feel better about this.
Well, the show is Dave Campbell's Texas football, and if you want me to participate and contribute, I have to be able to see it.
That's true. And if not, I could say anything, and you just have to believe it because you can't read the magazine.
Correct.
We've done this. This is our third year kind of going over Dave Campbell's, and we look at it, and of course it's a fantastic publication. It's awesome. But we're able to read between the lines a little bit more because we know these teams a little bit. And it won't be as fun for us because we are predicted by them to not be as phenomenal as we have been in the past. So we'll get to that, and then at the end of the podcast, we had a sit down yesterday with Coach Peacock, Coach Kyle Peacock. There's two of them, so we have to delineate. But we were able to have his first time on with us as head football coach Kyle Peacock, and so people need to stick around and make sure they stay on to the end, bear through me and Chance to get to the real meat and potatoes of the podcast.
Fight through it.
Yeah, you can do it. Now, Chance, do we have anybody on the Whataburger Super Team?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay. What about anybody in the district? Do you know off the top of your head?
No, that's what I was looking at because, as usual, I didn't do any show prep. But I would like to take care of some old business real quick, though, to buy time for you to go through that.
Well, hold on, because I have new business. Have you happened to look at the Big 12 predictions on page 62?
No, this is the first time I've cracked any of the pages other than turning to see what Pilot Point was supposed to be, and then I moved on. But go ahead. I'm sure it's something to have to do with the Longhorns and Baylor. So,
well, the Baylor Bears are picked to be repeat Big 12 champs, and the Texas Longhorns are fourth.
Okay. Hey, looking up.
Yeah. For the 81st consecutive year, they are probably going to win it all, according to the Longhorn fans.
Hey, but everything you're going to say today that's applicable to the Bearcats, then we can also apply to the Longhorns because they come in at about the same ranking.
Well, we're more in the Kansas State range, but we'll get there. We digress. I did not see anyone from our district on the super team.
Okay, and you glossed over me talking about old business. Real quickly, we are aware that we didn't do the movie reviews we promised. I was unaware that my co-host, everybody's favorite assistant coach, Travis Marsh, was going to go back to school.
Yes.
So, as he's trying to become more educated and move up the pay scale, we didn't have time because he's actually studies and stuff like he tells people to do, and doesn't have time to watch old cool movies like Urban Cowboy, so we can do movie reviews. But I'm not going to let it pass. We're going to fit that in at some time. Yeah, but it's football season now.
It is, and it really was a missed opportunity, and I hate it because I was really looking forward to it. But the old master's degree came calling, and I'm getting my master's in educational leadership with a focus on athletic director. But whenever I graduate, I will have my principal's certificate as well.
If there's one thing the Marsh is like, it's being overeducated.
If you look at my Twitter, and I will be putting my PhD to use again later this evening, Caleb and Roger, they are actually, doctors, not MD doctors, but doctorates. My PhD is the post hole digger. And I'm going to dig more fence posts today after we finish this podcast out in the humidity. You start and you look at our district, and the first glaring problem is Pilot Point is picked 5th out of 7. And it's on page 309 for those following along with us at home.
Say.
And this is the first time since, I do believe, 2014 or 2013 that we've been picked by Dave Campbell's to miss the playoffs. I don't know how to take that.
Yeah.
I know we did suffer some key losses.
Well, let's tell the folks listening at home that didn't listen to the ones in the past. I hope we're always picking up new users. How is this even determined?
No idea. I mean,
Well,
the way it works.
I know a mailer goes out.
The information that is presented for each school is provided by a coach.
Yes.
Okay, and the coach, he does everything, lets them know how many starters are returning, last year's record, this and that. And
Don't you also do a prediction of the district?
yes, the coaches all do a round robin prediction. Or not? Well, yeah. I mean it. I give my selection, they give theirs. You select the top 5 teams in the region. So apparently,
I would like to believe that they do it on a point system. I know Texas football wants us to believe that they put all this into some sausage maker computer and then out comes the other end some computer ranking. I don't think there's enough time to do all that. I think an intern takes all our district stuff that comes in and then they add it up, and then that's how it ends up.
If you get picked first, so Brock gets picked first, they get 7 points.
Correct.
Type deal. Yeah. Well, if that's the case, then
everyone's overlooking
the
this.
district has spoken.
Yes.
Now, not to put any pressure on the Northern Bearcats, I think they're the team to beat in the district. Sorry, Brock.
Even though Brock, and all apologies to Brock, I don't want to be pinned to the top of your Twitter.
Yeah, they'll do it.
Yes, they will. Brock's #1 team in state, though. If you go to...
And Brock is good. I mean, there's no doubt about
Really,
it.
are they?
Yeah,
If you go to 305.
hot take, Brock is good. But, man, what the Bearcats of the North,
They're at 17.
they've got it going on.
Yeah.
That is a strong program across the board. I know this is football season, and we're talking Texas football, but what Coach Fagan and his staff are able to do up there across the board in every sport is pretty impressive. And so I think if you're looking for a dark horse, I think we're the #1 dark horse. Shocker. But I think that's your next dark horse is Whitesboro a dark horse at #2? Are they going to challenge Brock for supremacy in the district and the region for that matter? They met in the 4th round last year. But I think those are your first 2 takes. Is I don't think we're the 5th team in the district.
And your other take is you're not certain Whitesboro's the 2nd team?
Yeah. And that's no disrespect to Brock whatsoever. It's more of a kudos to Whitesboro as opposed to a negative comment towards Brock.
It's going to be a wild game.
Well, I don't think I'll be there to see it.
No.
I think I'll have other business to tend to.
I guess unless it falls on our off week.
If it's in Brock, I'm not going.
No, me either. And in the media guide, in our version, Bearcat version of Texas football, I do have a weekly schedule of everyone in our district. So I don't have it in front of me, but
No.
tune to that page when you get it, and we'll know.
All right, so let's go through this, and we're going to go through it based off of the preseason and MVPs, offensive, defensive MVPs. That's anybody's guess, sure. But we'll go off of the prediction of finish. And the first thing is we're going to talk about Brock. They played for a state championship last year. They're good. They're good. They lost Cutter Wilson, who we talked about at length last year, who was the prediction to replace Cash Jones as the Mr. Everything in the district, and he performed as expected.
Yeah, he went 300-plus yards on us.
Yes. I saw it.
Yeah.
I was really close, actually. And
100 of those almost came in one run. But
yes. And off the top of my head, I do believe he was district co-MVP with the Ice King, Aiden Cox. Brock's going to bring back enough firepower to be good. again, obviously they're number one in the state going into the year. But, what you saw with Coach Mathis coming in and Coach Worrell leaving and going to El Campo is it's a different look. It wasn't obviously they still ran the football really well against us, but you saw a lot more spread looks. You saw a lot more open formations. And I hate to use the word archaic, but it wasn't the throwback offense that you saw with Chad. It was more of a modern football look of slinging the ball around a little bit more.
My untrained fan description would be they just looked like everybody else but did it really well.
Basically, they did what everybody else is doing and did it better.
Yeah.
And that with the athletes that they have, that's problematic for teams because they're good. They're good kids. They work hard. They're well coached. Obviously, you don't make it to the state championship game if you're not well coached. And so I think Coach Mathis did a really good job of following the winningest coach in Brock history. He was, I do believe, the only football coach in Brock history, but he followed him.
To that point, yes.
Yeah, and so I think he was able to make his own mark and really do well. And so I think everybody's going to have their hands full with Brock. And, their quarterback, Tyler Moody, is the predicted offseason MVP or offensive MVP. And he's good. He can make every throw. He's mobile enough, and he's surrounded by enough talent and offensive line that can keep him upright.
Well, they're going to get tested all year. Brock has a very tough schedule.
Yeah.
And then I believe it's week 3 they play Gunner in Brock. So
it's a lot of blue.
Well, that, and it's a lot of good football, and only one team can win.
I think something that's worth watching whenever you talk Gunner is the rule change that the UIL has put in with cut blocking. It's really changed the approach of the way that you have to look at football and the way that we've seen it traditionally. Cut blocks downfield, which is a cut block is you're taking someone's legs out from under them, has almost been taken away from anybody who's not an offensive lineman. Now it's up to the discretion of the officials of how much they're going to enforce that. But teams like Gunner that kind of make a living on people's knees is going to really be affected by it.
Well, if everything holds true, that's a number 1 versus number 1 when that happens.
We'll see. That's a heavyweight matchup.
Yeah.
So, Brock, I think you're just looking at more of the same from Brock. Expect him to be good. Expect him to be well coached. Expect him to be very athletic, and it's a safe pick for the district winner. Now, moving on to number 2, Whitesboro Bearcats, the Bearcats of the North, led by Cody Fagan. I use the word friend loosely, but I love Coach Fagan. He's a good guy, good human being, and a really good staff up there. We dabbled in moving Bearcats. Coach Fagan and I did for the second consecutive year, and just couldn't really get it worked out yet. But I think there is something brewing up there that is problematic for the other teams in the district. And I think it all starts with Mack Harper. He is a quarterback that is a dual-threat quarterback, and whenever we played him, he was hobbled. Whenever we had our double overtime thriller last year, he was pretty hobbled by an ankle injury. And so I think we could see a different version of Mack Harper, and then also their do-everything running back Grayson Ledbetter was also injured for our game. And so, I think that when you look at the Battle of the Bearcats, it's always going to be a good game. It's a game that everybody tends to get up for. I think they're our most natural rival right now. But everybody's also going to have their hands full with the Bearcats, the Whitesboro Bearcats. I think they're a team that's poised to make a big leap. But, we've had discussions, off the air. How are they going to respond to the best Whitesboro season ever?
And the best team ever as far as hubbub now. I mean, we've already mentioned that they may beat the number 1 team in state. I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah. And they had a hugely successful last year across the board, high in the standings in the Lone Star Cup. A lot of those kids are returning. Now they're seeing the press. of how are you going to react. And, the difference between Brock and Whitesboro, besides all the obvious differences, is Brock being ranked number 1 in the state is almost an expectation now.
Yes.
And so when those kids see that they're ranked number 1 in the state, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, we've been there, done that, because we played 15 football games every year and this and that. Well, now Whitesboro's seeing, hey, we're starting the year ranked. We're coming off the most successful football season in Whitesboro history. We have a lot of these kids coming back. How do you handle the pressure? How do you handle the expectations? And
you've coached all the A's.
I have.
Have you ever been in a situation like that where you've had a follow-up season on a team that's done the best in history prior to that?
Never a best in history thing. Now, in Sanger, we had been, I'm not going to say not good, but we greatly improved over the course of about 2-3 seasons. And so the expectations continue to rise. But the biggest thing with that is our quarterback, his name was Dane Evans. He was the son of the offensive coordinator there, Damon Evans. And Dane's now the starter for the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the Canadian Football League. He was such a steadying presence in it. The kids were unaffected by the success, if that makes sense. We went as Dane went, and Dane was always he was very whitish as far as he's just steady. He's always going to be there. He's always going to produce. He's always going to make the right decisions. And that in itself is a lot of pressure, but Dane lived up to the hype. And so I think when you look at it, the similarities between that type of situation and Whitesboro boils down to Mack Harper. He's the quarterback. He's the marquee player. He's the guy. He's also the son of the superintendent. So, he's kind of built for it. And Mack's a fun kid to be around because of he's very laid back, very the moment's never too big for him because it feels like he's never in the moment. And so it's going to be interesting to see. I think you're going to be able to make a direct correlation of how do the Whitesboro Bearcats respond equals how does Mack Harper respond. And I think they have the guys there as far as coaches to manage it correctly as well. So we'll see what goes on. But I think that's if I had to circle one team from our district that is probably the most intriguing team, I would circle the Whitesboro Bearcats.
I think number 3 is the most intriguing team.
Oh, well, so the Peaster Greyhounds.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Peaster, their coach's kid's the quarterback with McElroy there. I think they went 7-4. Yeah, 7-4, lost in the by-district round. They're bringing everybody back. The quarterback's coming back. The running back's coming back. Everybody's coming back. The thing about Peaster is, are they going to put the pieces together? And that's kind of, you say, well, they didn't quite put the pieces together last year. They made the playoffs, which is huge. And, one of our, not partner podcasts, but cousins over there, Nolan Ruth with his Parker County Sports Report is all over Peaster, and he does a great job of covering Peaster. And I think he kind of hit the nail on the head when he said that, they put the pieces together. They had a really good season, but it kind of felt underachieving just because of how talented they are.
Yeah.
And I think they're at the crossroads of are they going to take the step and get ready to play big boy football, or are they going to stay in that area of, well, we're good,
but are we great?
But are we great? I think that's kind of where they are.
Well, and that's what we all do as football fans. We always look at things and just think about how everybody's going to be better. I'm not a Cowboy fan, but the Cowboy fans do that every year. But like in the NFL, I think it's half the teams that made the playoffs the season prior don't make it the next one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, someone's going to have to underachieve for number 5 to get into the top 4.
Well, and we'll talk about that whenever we get further down the line. But with Peaster, again, you have a coach's kid that's quarterback. The head coach, Gary McElroy. It's his son, Gunnar McElroy. And he's good. He's good back there. He does a good job, and they have a do-everything running back like seems like everybody in the district does with Mr. Gilbert, and he's good.
Yes.
Too. He's big, fast. He's everything you want in a running back. They run a similar scheme to what we do and what Brock does. It's a kind of a wide open spread type deal. But are they going to take that step? And I think what you have to look for Peaster is, are the offensive and defensive lines going to take that step? Because that's really where the dividing line is between good teams and great teams. Is does the offensive line have it together, or do they not? Does the defensive line, are they able to manage the line of scrimmage, or are they not? And I think when you look across the board, those are the things that you can have an average quarterback with a great offensive line, and he looks way better. Look at Troy Aikman, if we want to go with Cowboys comparisons. Troy Aikman was a serviceable quarterback, but he was not the star. He just had enough time and was protected by a great running game that he was a very good quarterback. The line of scrimmage is what's going to determine does Peaster, Paradise, or Pilot Point, or who gets what two are in and who's the odd man out.
Yeah.
So Peaster will be interesting. I think I do agree with you. They are intriguing, but I think that what makes them less intriguing is they didn't go 4 rounds deep last year.
Yeah.
So is Whitesburg going to repeat that, or is Peaster going to, could they catch fire at the right time? Who knows? Now, number 4 is Paradise. Paradise is they're a mystery.
That's the exact word that was popping into my head.
And they are. You watch them on film, and what you kind of consistently see is a lesser opponent. They dominate them, like you should.
Yeah.
I mean, they take care of business. That's not a knock on Paradise at all. That's when they face a lesser opponent, they make sure that there's a delineation between them and the lesser opponent. And it seems like where they tend to have a hiccup is when they get into the make-or-break district games. They're going to have the cats to do it. The coaches run a great scheme over there that is a odd scheme that is hard to prepare for, and they have made it work for them. And it's problematic. But I think where they took a step back was when they lost they had a big-time quarterback 3 years ago, or 2 years ago now. And then last year they were breaking in a new quarterback, and it just changed things because he wasn't quite the runner that the other one was. So you watch them at the district track meet, and they sneakily are in everything. All of a sudden they're near the front of the 4x1. All of a sudden they're near the front or winning the 4x2, and so they have great speed. They're just going to have to kind of put it all together and figure it out. They have probably the best kicker in the district. He has a boot on him. And when you look at all of the schemes, their scheme is the one that's the oddball in the district, which makes them the hard one to prepare for.
Yeah.
It's not difficult now to prepare for a spread offense because you see them so often. You see them all the time that it's just like Brock. They just do it better than everybody else. But the game plan isn't as big of an issue. Paradise, the game plan is an issue. And so I think what you can look at is they do have a receiver that is an absolute burner. His name's Iglesias. They mentioned that he has great speed. We saw it at the district track meet. The cat can roll. And so, we'll see what happens there. Now we get to number 5, the odd man out, the first one that they say is staying at home. And that's us. I think you look at the obvious things that when if you were saying what's going to make a team miss the playoffs. Okay, we lost some top talent in Ish and Aiden. And along the line, we lost some good starters that had been there for multiple years. But then the next recipe in a fall off is a change at the top, because it adds uncertainty.
Lack of cohesion.
Yeah, it adds uncertainty not because of the capability of the person who's replacing. It's the person replacing is an unknown as a head coach. And so, and you'll hear more about Coach Peacock later whenever we interview him. But what I think that you're going to see is that Is Coach Peacock going to make mistakes as a first-year head coach? Without a doubt. And that's you don't. And he says it best. You don't know what you don't know. So he's gonna figure it out. But there's not going to be anybody, and there's not going to be any first-year head coach in the state of Texas that is going to outwork Kyle Peacock. And I say that with as much certainty as I can, is he's going to punch the time card and he's going to go to work. And if he makes a mistake, he's not going to make the same mistake again, because he's going to be self-aware and he's going to understand what he has to change. And I think we're in great hands with Coach Peacock. But that does add uncertainty on the outside. Dave Campbell's doesn't know Kyle Peacock. The other people in the district, they know of Kyle, but they don't work with him. They don't understand that he's the first one to the field house. He's the last one to leave. They don't know that stuff. And so I can see how it creates uncertainty. It just doesn't create uncertainty for me.
Well, and it depends on how you want to approach it. If you want to approach it that Pilot Point's fifth and you came into it with that attitude, we lost Aiden, lost Ish. Someone looking at it from afar is going to be like you said, well, there's no way they can be as good as they were last year, and last year ended up they weren't that good. One and done.
Well, I was about to say, we never had an early podcast to review that game because I had no desire to.
I know.
I had none. There's no fight left in me after that. It was demoralizing.
And that's why I think if you look at it from that, if these guys are one and done with Aiden and Ish, then they're not going to make the playoffs. Like I said, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Or you can look at it from...
I see it. And the people that know. We didn't have Aston for most of district. Up to that point, he and Aiden were a really good tandem. Mm-hmm. They were working very, very well together. We're returning Wyatt. Well, Wyatt was a first-year varsity starter last year, and he absolutely balled out. How's he going to be as a second-year varsity starter? There's no more firsts for Wyatt. We're past the first. We've had the first playoff game. We've had the first district game. We've had the first interception. We've had the first fumble. We've had the first sack. We've had the first touchdown. All the firsts are over with. So that excuse is out the window. Now we have a seasoned, experienced quarterback that's really, really good.
Yeah.
But what he's going to deal with is, how is his seasoned, experienced quarterback, how is he going to baby along a young receiver group? While Aston is a senior, Aston missed half of a season. So, there's still some firsts left for Aston that he's going to see as a senior. How's he going to pull Crew Chandler along? How's he going to, pull the third, fourth, fifth receiver along? How's he going to manage the running game? How is he going to be the steadying presence in the huddle for kids that are now on the biggest stage that they've been at up to this point? And so, I don't see us as the fifth best team in the district.
I don't either, but I'm having a hard time separating. Is that because, unlike you, I'm not wearing a Pilot Point shirt today, but is that the Pilot Point in me? To where I almost, I hate to say it, I think it's justified if you try to look at it from a macro level.
I think so too, and I know that there are parts of it that I'm there every day. Well, not every day right now because I'm not currently at work, but I've seen the kids work. I see what we're doing. I see the coaches that we have in place. I see everything that's there, and it's like, man, we're gonna be okay. And there's not going to be this huge fall off, and not to bring up things that are in the past or talk crap about anybody in the past, but the past is the past. It's there. It happened. I don't think you're going to see the fall off from winning the state championship in 2009 to the 2010 football season, where their roster was just gutted. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that they were bad football players or bad coaches, or it's the Jarman wasn't there anymore. Tilly wasn't there anymore. That offensive line that was just behemoths.
Ryan wasn't there anymore.
Yes. But, we're not experiencing that. We had some dudes leave, and, we have an SEC linebacker that left. We have, Aiden, who was number 23 in the nation in receiving yards, who's now going to go be, at Midwestern. He left, and those are huge shoes to fill.
I think we can safely say Aiden, the single best wide receiver to ever play the game in Pilot Point.
I don't think that it's at this point. I think that the argument now becomes, well, if Sugar Bear played in today's offense,
but he didn't.
Yeah. But I think you have some that are equally talented, like Sugar Bear, but they were never put in the position to produce like Aiden was and consistently produce. 50 yards away from the state record for receiving yards in a game against Boyd. He was a special player, and he ended up it was lightning in a bottle, and it hit all at the same time, and he had a great year. And you say that, and he had 30 yards against DeKalb. He had a terrible game against DeKalb.
Yeah.
And so if he had a normal game against DeKalb, he's almost a 2,000 yard receiver.
Yeah.
And that's special. So it will be difficult to replace, but this team is its own team. Last year's team's dead and gone. The underachievement of last year doesn't have to feed over to this team. And it's up to the coaches, and it's up to the returning players of, do you want to look at the 2021 season and say, well, that defines us? Or do you want to wash your hands of it and step into 2022 and say, man, I'm going to think about that because I don't want to repeat it, but that's not me. That's the old me. And that's kind of where we are. And I fully expect that this fifth place finish is wrong. I think our kids will respond, and I think we'll be fine.
All right. I won't put you. I won't corner you and make you tell me which one of the four above it's gonna swap. I don't want to give you. I don't want to be billboard material.
Brock's going to finish 7th in our district.
Now they're going to pin us.
They're going to go 0-10. The wheels are going to completely fall off. No, yes, please don't do that, because we have a great district, and not only do we have a great district of good teams, we really have a great district of men that are the coaches and the head coaches, and that's what makes this difficult. Is I like all of these guys. They're interesting. They're great guys to talk to, and they're great men. That really, when you look at our district, there's a bunch of coaches that have their hearts in the right spot, and they're in it for the right reasons. And so, if anything that is said on this show is definitely not said to in any way diminish what they're doing or anything like that. It's just simply we're talking about predicted finishes. Yeah. And I have so much respect for every coach in the district, because it really is a fun district to be a part of. I look forward to some of the games of some of the guys that I get to talk to and visit with pregame and postgame, and they're fun, good men that really make it enjoyable to coach in this district.
Well, moving down the list to the one behind us, who I know has expectations of being in the top 4, they even made us their homecoming game.
They did, and I say that,
by the way.
No, this is Boyd, is number 6. Put your readers back on.
Oh. Sorry. Did Boyd make us their homecoming game too?
No.
Okay.
No. Yes, get the readers back on.
It's not my fault. The write-ups are in alphabetical order.
Yes, they are.
That's what it is.
So you have Coach Ian Ritchie with the Boyd Yellow Jackets, and Boyd is they're in an unusual spot. I'd say unusual, maybe that's not the right word, but they are anybody who follows the Friday football app, what is that called, where everybody gets on there and trashes the coaches all the time?
Football Friday night or something like that.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah. It's like Pilot Point Idle Chatter for football.
Yeah.
Rendon Lamont
stumped him.
Is gone.
Yeah.
And he was the vaunted.
Well, he was a hot topic on that message board.
Always. Fantastic football player. He was absolutely their best player, and he, it was an awkward deal whenever we played him, and we talked about it at length actually on the podcast last year about him missing the game for the National FFA convention.
Yeah,
and we respected his decision, and we get it. But
they discovered a quarterback though when they did it.
Boy, did they! And so while Brendan Lamance is gone, he's got to turn into a ghost of the past for the Boyd Yellow Jackets because they have to move on, and they have the dude to do it. He could sling it.
Yeah.
And he was fun to watch, kind of.
As a fan, not as an opposing football coach.
If I was a Boyd Yellow Jacket fan, he would have been really fun to watch. As the opposing coach on the other sideline, he was not fun to watch because he breathed life into that program. And so, they're coming off a season that I would say that didn't hit expectations for them. I don't think that whenever they set out on the journey of the 2021 season, they say, you know what, I think we're a 2-8 football team. We're going to go 2-5 in district.
Which, talking about that reshuffling, I think last year they were predicted to be one of the top 4.
Brendan Lamance was a dark horse MVP guy.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. But it didn't happen. For whatever reason, it just it didn't click for the Boyd Yellow Jackets.
Wasn't that a new head coach last year too?
It was a new head coach,
which is all back to part of the reason I can see why Pilot Point got moved down.
He was previously the defensive coordinator at Decatur. He is a Boyd guy, graduated from Boyd.
Yeah.
And so I think that you can expect a different energy from Boyd. I think that. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs or not because nobody knows who's going to make it right now. But I think they're going to be more of a factor this year for sure. And I really think that they are in a position to very much improve on that 2-8 record from last year. And so I expect big things from it, and I think it's going to start at the quarterback. And what you're going to see at Boyd is in 2 years, watch out. They have a phenomenal 8th grade class. It is one of the best junior high football teams I'd ever seen and everything, and good in every sport. Kids are good-looking kids. They get after it. But Whitesboro is our most natural rival because of how close we are. We're both the Bearcats. All of our kids tend to kind of know each other. Boyd might be the actual rival. It's almost just good old-fashioned hate. And that's exciting. You need those. And
hate is good.
No, you need those.
You
need that team that you just really hate. And not that you want anything bad to happen to them, but it's like, man, I just want to get after you. And I think that's Boyd for us right now. I think there's not that it's not a respectful relationship, but currently right now, Pilot Point Whitesboro minus all the state championships feels like old school Pilot Point Salina. It's a mutually respectful game. They are, we have a lot of respect for each other's programs. Both programs have been very successful. Like I said, minus all the state championships that Salina won. But I think that has that feel of it to me.
Well, and Boyd has some, which I think always helps for a rival. We've got playoff games.
Yeah.
Like knockdown, drag out playoff games.
Yeah, and they're a great rival. And so I look forward to that. I do believe
of 2 games we had with Boyd that the total point differential is 1 point.
Yeah. I do believe they are our homecoming.
Okay.
So, welcome Yellow Jackets.
Last time we made them our homecoming game, it didn't pan out.
That was the mud game.
Yes.
Also a very hot topic on the Friday Night Football app.
Correct. Some say that led to us getting turf, though.
Thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Boyd homecoming game. And then last but not least, again, this is by prediction, is the Ponder Lions led by Kyle Cooper. And I think that this might be the one that could really see the biggest increase. And it's not because they're new softball coach. It's because they had a lot of people coming back from injury that were injured for good parts of the year that are going to be pretty good ball players.
I think they had a big learning curve, too, coming from the offense they had the year prior. I mean, I think it takes a while to digest that.
So you're saying if Art Briles were to go to Navy, that there would be a drop-off in trying to figure out how to run the...
In year one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree. You went from a triple option, it wasn't even really a triple option, just double tight end, get after it. 3 yards, cloud of dust type stuff, to, wide open, trying to go fast, spread the ball all over the field.
Not punting.
I like that. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
But I'm not the one making the decision, so of course I like it.
Yeah.
But I think Ponder could see a jump as well. Year 2 in a scheme that, again, it's a scheme that everybody runs, but the fact of the matter is they run it way faster than anybody else in the district. They're trying to go at breakneck speed, get lined up, and there's merit to it. There's reasons why people do it, and I just think that I'm not certain on the 7th in the district thing for Ponder. But again, I'm not going to endorse any team for last in the district.
Well, that's what I was thinking. If everyone does as good as you make them out to do,
we're going to have 7 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, no one's going to get last.
In District 2, we'll actually only send 1 to the playoffs, and we'll send everybody in. I don't even know who's in District 2. I'm just throwing that out there.
District 2? Wouldn't it be District 3? Aren't we 4?
We're 4. District 2 is Shallow Water, Bushland, Woolshoe, River Road, and Dalhart. See, we'll take Shallow Water. They can get it, and then our 3 that aren't going to make it will take those other 3 spots.
Okay.
I think that's just the only fair way to do it.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll love that.
Yeah, no worries, guys. But no, I think Ponder, coaches kids playing quarterback, and that usually is indicative, unless it's Marsh kid, of success. But with what they do and what they run, it's going to put pressure on you in a different way, because the game plan is almost nil. Because they're getting lined up so fast that you don't have time for play calls almost. I think, and this is me from the outside stepping into what I believe is going through Coach Cooper's head, is that if they're snapping the ball every 8 to 10 seconds, which is usually the goal of a hurry-up offense, is from the time the referee sets the ball to the snap of the football, they're trying to get it done in 8 to 10 seconds, which is stupid fast. That's not a lot of time for the defensive coordinator to process and relay a call, and the call to actually matriculate through all the players on the field and everybody get on the same page. That's tough. And so you've basically negated your defensive coordinator, or Ponder has negated your defensive coordinator by you've taken it away from him. Now it's, what did you do game plan wise? What did you put in practice? Because you don't get to coach on Friday night. And then halftime you have to make adjustments. And then now you're banking on that the kids are going to be able to make the adjustments. They're actually going to be able to figure it all out in that 8 to 10 seconds. It's tough.
I guess you're also banking on Ponder going to continue to do the same thing in the second half that they did at the first.
Yeah,
which I'm sure they make counter adjustments.
Sure, and good coaches do. But I think it just puts stress on you in a different way. And so I think that's one that, just depending on how they progress in that system, is going to determine their outcome. I think that's what it boils down to. If they do the same thing that they did last year and they do it the same way, you'll probably see about the same finish. If they progress the way that they are probably hoping to progress, I think you could see an improved finish from them.
Is Kyle the only new coach in the district?
Yes.
Yeah,
and that's the only turnover. And, and it's a different type of turnover, too. Because Coach David wasn't escorted out the door and give me your keys.
He was still in there when I went in yesterday.
Yep, and and that's good. That's the kind of turnover that as a coach you desire. Is people getting fired, it happens. It's part of the business, but that's not the situation that we were looking at. It's an old gray hair retiring and moving on to the next phase. And so that's the way that I like it. I like it to go that way, and that the reins were handed to a guy on staff is even better. And so, we'll see what happens from there. You have any hard-hitting questions?
Well, I was going to say, those that think we forgot Bowie, they're not in our district anymore.
They're not.
We could, in theory, play them.
But Bowie is picked to get last in District 3.
And they have a new coach.
Hugh Farmer.
I don't know who they hired. I just knew that
Hugh Farmer.
That guy was gone.
Yeah, Hugh Farmer. That's who they hired, according to this. But we're not going to spend much time talking about the Jackrabbits.
Yeah, or District 3.
Nope. So
No, I don't have any questions. I didn't even get to talk much because you did such a fantastic job. Maybe this is a result of all that education, and you already sound administrative.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. I currently have a 4.0. The trip to Europe that we took this summer, we took a 10-day trip to Europe. It was really hard to keep up with homework. That's what I wasted most of my flights and airport time with, was trying to stay ahead and keep that 4.0. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm educated.
Wow. So what do we got coming up here?
Well, again, for the people that choose to stay on, we have the interview with Coach Peacock. And make sure to listen to that. It's fantastic. He did a fantastic job, and I think it'll kind of open the window into who is Kyle Peacock. And I think it's really good. And other than that, man, in 10 days, it's time for two-a-days, which is not even two-a-days anymore.
Yeah, 35 days from Friday is the first football game.
Man.
And so I guess today would be 36.
Yeah, and, we're rocking and rolling. I can say from a coach's perspective, we're chomping at the bit. It's exciting. The challenge is coming, and you know that there's going to be challenging things that are going to come up, and there's going to be adversity. But I think we have a really good group of kids, and it's been fun. We've been doing Tuesday night ping pong at the house that you graciously attended this past week.
I was undefeated.
And Aston has really progressed as a ping pong player. He's a good doubles partner. I like playing with him, but it's fun to be around the kids, and gosh, they're enjoyable to be around. They work hard, they have a good attitude, and so I think like I said, there's going to be adversity, there's going to be challenges, but I think we're equipped to handle them.
First game at Callisburg. If you're listening to this right now on YouTube, which if you are listening, it is on YouTube, subscribe.
Yep, and starting it off strong with Callisburg, and then they're going to be run heavy. They're going to have a running back that can tote the mail. The defending 100-meter champ from the district track meet, who also happens to be about 6'1", 230.
He's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, I have visions of Bearcats bouncing off of him.
Yeah,
which I hope is not the case.
Just
but
hang on till Ryan gets there.
Yes. And if he gets in the open field, I don't know that we're going to track him down.
Yeah.
But that's a great way to start the season with a test like that. They'll be well prepared, and then Bells will be next, and they'll present a unique offense that we have to keep up with. But if people will keep listening, we'll keep telling them what's coming.
I tell you what I do know about Callisburg and being at Callisburg. If this drought happens to break that week, and that's a muddy field, he's not breaking into the open and getting away from anybody because he would have to swim.
Maybe he's a good swimmer.
Maybe that field is something.
Well, it is something, and it has a very high crown in the middle. So if you run to the outside, you're actually running downhill. So that'll be good. But they do have turf coming. I don't think it's going to be this football season, but that turf is on the way. Coach Gill does a fantastic job up there, and have a lot of respect for him.
Well, it will at least be 2 years from now, at a minimum, till we can see it.
Yes. Hopefully it's a series that we can keep going.
Yeah.
Because it's close. It's a great matchup for both teams, and like I said, I really it's fun to compete against Eddie Gill. He's a character for sure. Good coach. But y'all make sure y'all stick around and listen to sitting in the office of Assistant Athletic Director and Head Football Coach
after the interview.
Kyle Peacock. And so first off, Coach, welcome to the show. I think this might be your second appearance.
It is. Number 2, I thought about that earlier.
Yeah, we got you on the grass after a 2-day practice in year 1 of this. Just kind of getting everybody up to speed. If anybody's close to the program or has their ear to the ground at the Pilot Point, Coach David is easing into retirement.
Yes, sir.
And he's our athletic director for the next year.
Correct.
And it kind of gives you a little bit of a learning curve, and then we'll take the training wheels off of Coach David, and you'll be the athletic director, but you are the head football coach for this upcoming season.
Yes, sir.
Now, we played together. I was a senior. You were a sophomore, made a run to the semifinals, but all that's great and all. How does it feel to ascend to the top for the orange and black Bearcats here?
I mean, I would say it's a childhood dream. that I always had. When I was little, I was the cord boy. I remember for Jerry Jones and Kenny Calhoun and Lenny Gray. And that was the highlight of my childhood, was running up and down the sidelines on Friday nights. So just to be in the situation I am, and just, it's a blessing to be here, and have that opportunity to go back to your hometown and lead the Bearcats. I've bled orange and black, since I was little, and I don't think that's ever changed. Even being across town rivals when I was with GA at Aubrey at one time, it was one of those games, you always hope Pilot Point won them all except one, and that was the game you played them. But, being back here, and seeing all the old faces, and a lot of the kids that we coach are, multi-generational kids that, I played with their dads. It makes me feel old, but, I played with their dads, and, you kind of go back down memory lane. So, again, it's a blessing. Having Coach David here in the role he's in, I can't tell you the amount of respect I have for him as far as helping me. Because you fall into a role for the first time, you don't know what you don't know yet. Yeah. And as I take on these hurdles, he's somebody that I can go to at any time with questions and look for leadership. And, and again, I'm blessed. I really am.
Yeah, and, I jokingly say taking the training wheels off. I think it's kind of been trial by fire in this first segment. And we'll start off with a hard-hitting question about jobs.
I want to jump in.
Oh, hey, Chance.
Hey, I got a question.
Okay.
Growing up here, like you said, and I was a water boy too, and all of that in the program. Is that the first change I've seen? Is that lead to part of why you've kind of embraced Pilot Point youth sports? It seems to be more a part of the athletic program, more so than I've ever noticed it before. And the same way with the parent night outs. Is that kind of trying to bring the kids back like you grew up being a Bearcat?
It is. It's because, there's a lot of, and I was one of them, we didn't have a lot growing up, but we knew we had this.
Yeah.
So it was something that was always there, and I want that to be available for those kids, just, again, and that was free, and I asked these coaches to stay and put it on, and, it worked out great. We had more kids every week. They were showing up, and if anything, it was parents, hey, just let us create that relationship with your kids. We played kickball, we had water slides. It was something so innocent and fun, but the relationships are being built again, and I think that's huge because I've been down that road with Pilot Point and not having a lot. So,
yeah.
Well, I share your sentiment about the orange and black meaning more than any other job. I've put on different colors just like you have for Friday nights, and it sure means a whole lot more putting on the orange and black and walking out on Massey Stadium's turf now, not grass, but right. Walking out there and looking up there and seeing the things just like you that I remember as a kid running up and down the bleachers and underneath the bleachers and all around it, and being on the other side, it really is surreal. And so I can definitely understand that. Now, building a staff, before I was rudely interrupted by real estate broker extraordinaire, staff construction. This is turnover.
Correct.
With you to Coach David, it's turnover, but it's not really turnover. But staff changes.
Yes, sir.
Have some new guys, have some old guys, have guys doing new things. We're going to start with you personally.
Okay.
That first Friday night that we're kicking off at 7:30 p.m., what's that going to look like for you going from the booth and being the primary play caller? What is Coach Kyle Peacock doing on Friday nights now?
Down there on the sidelines on my first Friday night, again, it's been a long time since I've been on the sidelines. I've been a box guy for, the whole time I was calling, I've been upstairs. So it's going to be a transition. A lot of the things that I yelled, at the refs from the box, I can't yell down there now.
I've heard them.
So, and it gets one of those deals. But to be down there, I want to be, with the kids on the sidelines, and we want to put them in enough situations and practice throughout the week to where they have almost seen, or hopefully we've got them prepared where they've seen almost everything. But I want to be down there to let them know that if you stay the course and you do your job, good things are going to happen. A lot of times, kids, because not everything's going to go the way you plan it. If everything went the way you planned, everybody'd be undefeated, everybody'd score 100 points a game, and we all know that's not realistic. So, when you go down there and you hit that speed bump in the first quarter, the second quarter, I think the kids need that assurance, that coach to say, hey, this is fine. We've done this. Yeah. So, again, I think, because, again, we've got some really smart coaches on this staff. And you look at all the coaches. X's and O's, every coach knows the X's and O's of football.
Sure.
They really do. It's the guy that can get with those kids and get them to do what they don't think they can do. And that's the role that I want to play. I want to be the guy that I have a whole staff underneath me that's saying, look, let me just show you how to do this. Just stay calm, stay the course, do your job, and we're going to be fine. Just keep fighting. And that's one thing with kids. A lot of kids nowadays, they hit any kind of adversity, they're not used to it.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to happen. That's why I love the game of football, because it teaches so much about life and what kids can learn about overcoming obstacles and fighting, learning how to keep, stay the course and keep fighting. Because, we say them all the time, guys, life is ups and downs. I mean, no matter what, for anybody.
Yeah.
I said, so is the game of football. So you can learn a lot, but they need someone there to guide them through those situations. Kind of how Coach David's guiding me, through my first time. They need someone there to guide them through those situations.
So that first game, we're sitting there, and it's 7:17 or whatever your itinerary is going to give us, and we're going out of the tunnel. This is going to be your first time going out of that tunnel riding the white horse. You're the general of the Pilot Point Bearcats at that point. Are you going to be more nervous, or the kids?
Oh, I'm sure I will be. I mean, to be standing in the role that you thought about since you were a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I will be. I'm pretty good at hiding it, but I'll probably be a nervous wreck.
No, you're good at hiding your emotions.
I'll be, I'm sure. I already think about it now. You start thinking about, how am I going to handle this situation, or if this comes up, how am I going to handle that? Because again, like I said, I don't know what I don't know yet. I'm taking the punches as they come.
Yeah.
So, and again, stepping into this role again, it's awesome. But again, kind of going back to Coach David, he's having somebody there that I can go to, and then having guys on the sidelines with me that I know, we're all in this for the right reasons. We're all rowing the boat the same direction. I mean, that's good to know that, that you're surrounded yourself with people like that.
I asked Travis every post game if we had a Coach Gray halftime speech, so maybe you could bring that back.
Right.
So then Travis can say, yes, we actually did.
He refuses to believe how boring halftime really is.
Yeah.
Unless it's me arguing with the officials at Paradise.
Yes.
That's only been your excitement. But so new guys and old guys. Got a new guy in, defensive coordinator Beau Burris.
We did.
Give us just a little snippet about Coach Burris.
Personally, I feel like we stole Beau Burris. I mean, he came in, he was a DC at Richland. He played ball at North Texas. I mean, he's from a family of coaches, him and his wife's side. He came in and immediately, of course, he's 6'7", so of course the kids were already, immediately asking questions about him. Who is this guy? And all that. And then he comes out and he's teaching his defense. And again, he couldn't have done it better with the way he was able to come here in the spring and start easing into these kids, because it's similar to what we've done, but it's dynamic, it's unique. It's not saying that what we did wasn't, but he's got a lot more that he has done. I think one thing, a transition for him being from Richland would be, he's there with guys that play one side of the football. Yeah. And, you're practicing nothing but defense, for an hour and a half of practice, to where now here you're catching the Crews, the Astons, the Pugas, who have just come off an offensive practice. Now we're on a defensive practice. So, again, he's done an excellent job for us so far. One, again, I go back to the relationship piece. The kids look up to him, literally and figuratively, but again, he's been here every day. He's put the work in. The kids see him here, and he's one of those coaches that, like I said, when a kid needs to know how to do something, you can look to your coach and he can say, well, watch me, I'll show you how to do it.
Yep. I feel as though if we ever have a vacancy for defensive coordinator, I'm probably not going to apply because I'm not at least 6'5".
It would appear that's a stipulation in the past.
You have to be really, really tall.
It just worked out that way, ironically, but yeah.
Now, the new offensive coordinator is an old hat to us. You've known him for a while.
Yeah.
Keith Peacock.
Yeah, going on 37 years now.
Yeah. So how do things change with Keith? I know that obviously the dynamic with Keith, if you talk about a personality that is infectious and just, it permeates everything that the guy touches.
Yeah.
But what do you see in him as a you have to take the brother shades off. What do you see in him as Coach Peacock?
You go back to what you just said, he's contagious. The kids, they want to be around him. And he's as hardcore of a coach as you've seen in the weight room at practice. He's if you do it wrong, he's a thorn in your side, but he's the first one to pat you on the back when you do it right. He's the type of coach. And we were raised that way on tough love. So that's how we coach. Again, we're going to be your biggest nightmare if you deserve it, but we're also going to be the first ones to love on you when you do it right. So, again, we're blessed to have him.
Oh, absolutely. Now, schematically, y'all both kind of come from the same tree as far as offensive schemes. Now, I'm sure his personality, the personality of the play caller,
changes the offense a little bit.
Correct.
And so while it'll still be similar, it'll have a little less Kyle, a little more Keith.
Yeah.
And so, again, man, he's a spark plug.
Yeah, a lot of his learning in his play calling wants him to come from experience, like it was when I became a play caller. I mean, there's a lot of things you get into situations, and it's up in the. I mean, he's going to be up in the booth and he's talking to me, and then, again, hopefully I can be there for him, like Coach David was there for me with the guidance and what do you see, what do you like, as far as that goes. But as far as knowledge base in the run game, I haven't coached with any better. I mean, he's worked side by side with some of the best offensive line coaches I've ever been around.
Yeah.
And again, he's taken little pieces from each of them and he's put together, a run game, that he did last year. Again, where our kids, I mean, they know it like the back of their hand. I mean, you go out there and no matter what kind of front we see, I mean, again, they can answer what their rule. I mean, they always fall back. You fall back to your comfort level where you are knowledge based.
Yep.
So, again, I think he's done a great job teaching those kids, all that stuff right there. Now, it will be his first time opening up into the pass game and learning, concepts, how you tie concepts with inside, outside run game again. But, I think with enough leadership and guidance, I think he'll be fine because, again, the relationship piece is there, and those kids are going to listen to him no matter what he says. So again, he's a smart coach. We were blessed to coach with some of the best. Talking about we were with G.A. Moore. He coached us. We coached with him at Aubrey.
Yeah.
Danny. We talked about Marty Secord. I got a chance to coach with Marty Secord. I learned more from Marty in 1 year, and then everything I learned when Keith came on with us at Reedy with Chad Cole. I taught that into him, and he expanded on that even more after I left and came back home. So,
yeah,
again, it's going to be good. I'm really happy with our coaches, and where we are right now and our staff.
I'm not a coach, obviously, so watch a lot of TV. How's it going to work? I mean, I see pros and are you going to be more of an administrative head coach and they make the calls and then? Or they suggest to you, and then you're like, no, I want to do. I mean, or do you even know yet?
Yeah, it's going to be a puzzle piece that we'll figure out the best way it works. I mean, I know I'm comfortable, with calling the offense. I mean, I've done it for the past 4 years, so again, it's comfortable. It would be a transition for me to come out of that role, and I think that's natural because again, you have ideas, then again, and when you're calling a game, I mean, Travis has called a game before, and when you call things, I mean, you see it and it's instantaneous. What are they giving me, and that call happens right then. So again, but everybody sees the football field from different angles,
And I always see on TV, I remember them talking about Jason Garrett. You're a whole lot bigger of a risk taker, they say, when you're the OC versus the head coach.
It's true.
So,
it's true. I'm most excited about not walking out of the press box after the games and doing the bleachers. That's it.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Now you're within throwing range.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
Now you have a target on your back.
And you can hear them the whole game now.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things, man. I mean, again, every coach wants what's best for your kids and your program. And again, it's. You tell people all the time, when they talk about play calls and all that, you say, well, if everybody did everything right on offense and defense, the ball would never move.
Never move.
I said it would be the most boring sport ever.
Yeah.
I said, so, I mean, we're fortunate someone always makes some sort of mistake every play, so it's interesting. But, again, having, Coach Peacock and, Coach Ike, being out there and, getting Coach Ike, you've worked with him. He's as smart as they come.
Yeah.
Having them two up there and being able to see the field and seeing, what's happening in real time, and then being able to relay that information down. I mean, again, you can't put value on that. As a coach.
Not at all. Now I'm going to lead you into a question. Okay, and so I'm going to describe you from the eyes of me, okay. And that is, I've known you for a while, long time. Didn't grow up together because we weren't the same grade, but played ball together in high school. Now I've worked with you for numerous years here. And then now I'm your subordinate. But I have a unique view, but there's not a harder working coach that I know of. And I've worked with a lot of coaches. It is almost impossible to beat you here. I've tried. And you get here early, really early.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm willing to stay later than you because I like to go home. And I know you like to go home and you love your wife and you love your kids, but if there's work to be done, you're normally finding it. It doesn't find you, you find the work. Very intelligent, highly intelligent, great with the kids. You love our kids. I've watched you provide meals for the kids, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I've watched you help them in the classroom. You care about your coaches. And, you know, I had a person ask me, you know, well, how's it going to be with Kyle in charge? I said, I couldn't think of a better man to be in control. Now, he's going to have to learn things because he's a first-time head coach, but we're in good hands because he's a good man. Every program takes on the personality of its leader. It goes back to Remember the Titans, where Julius is sitting there and he's talking to Gary and he says, attitude reflects leadership, Captain. Mm-hmm. What is going to be the personality of Pilot Point Athletics under Kyle Peacock? What part of your personality do you see bleeding into the program?
You know, right now, I just through this summer, you know, you mentioned hard work again, and that's something that was taught to me at a very young age. But just, you know, when our kids show up, I mean, they work hard.
Yeah.
I mean, we've actually gotten to where, you know, people ask, how are summer workouts going? It's been a long time since I've ever said, it just wasn't a very good workout today. I mean, when our kids show up, I mean, they usually show up. I mean, some of them are half asleep, but that is what it is. But when we start work, I mean, they work and they know. And I think we're at a point now, you know, over the past couple of years, that they understand that is the expectation and nothing less will be tolerated.
Yeah.
Again, and that goes from football. I mean, in our track program rolls right off of football. I mean, those kids show up to run. I mean, we were running workouts. It was sleeting outside. It was 27 degrees. And their kids are wanting to know, why are we out here? Why are we doing this? I said, you know what, because we want to be different. You know, we don't want to be like everybody else. We want to go out and we want to set these kids up for success. And the only way to do that is through hard work.
Yeah.
And that's something, you know, I try to model that the best I can. You know, again, I try to get, you know, my staff, you know, again, hats off to them. You know, they're right there with me. I mean, I show up, you know. I show up as early as I can. You know, I got 4 kids. Sometimes I go to bed late, chasing little girls around the house. But, you know, again, you show up, and when the kids know that, hey, you know, all my coaches are here an hour before workout, you know, because there's something that can be done. You start seeing those kids show up earlier and earlier and earlier. And when you're out there and you're getting a weight room set up, you look up and there's kids just helping you without even asking them. You know, I think they're starting to take on that identity of, to where, again, we've been saying ever since Coach David got here, hard work pays off, and they've seen it. Yeah. They've seen it materialize in front of them, you know, with some of our success the past couple of years. Again, and we can only attribute that to one thing, is that when these kids show up, they work. You know, hardly ever do we roll out there on Friday and we're the most talented. That hardly ever happens, you know. No. But I think our kids roll into our competitions knowing, you know, we're expecting to win now. I mean, we walk out in the field and the kids know, I've put the work in. You know, I'm ready. Yeah. So, and again, I think that's huge. One, it's huge for your program. 2, it's huge for the mindset of those kids to go into these situations knowing, hey, I want to be fine.
Yeah. Well, and I think the hardest thing that you're going to have to learn when you transition to the athletic director is showing up as the job is finishing and asking what you can do to help after it's already done. Right. You're really going to have to work on that.
I know.
It's really difficult whenever you're the one that's the first one out the door. It kind of puts all of us kind of a rock under a hard spot saying, my God, the AD is going out there. We better hurry up and go.
Right.
But you got to work on that. That's a pro tip there.
And that's one of those things, man. You know, when I was little, man, I remember my dad. You know, if he was mowing, you were mowing. Yeah. If he was weed eating, you were weed eating. And you know, I was raised to know if things need to get done, like, get them done. So.
Well, in fairness to Curtis, he's 3-0. He's raised 3 pretty decent human beings there for boys. you and Keith and Cody. Man, y'all, all 3 y'all work the dog out everything you do. Now, you kind of talked about the coaches that you've been groomed under. You started your career with Coach Moore.
Correct.
And then you went with Coach David to Collinsville for a short stay.
So I was actually, my first year, I was an aide with Coach David at Collinsville.
Okay, that's where you started.
Right out of Tarleton when I graduated. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do. I wanted to open a gym. I mean, I wanted to own a gym. And then, you know, I had, of course, playing ball. And then Coach David called and he said, have you ever thought about coaching football? I said, honestly, no.
First time.
But now I'm intrigued, you know. So I went up and met with him, and man, it's, you know, and he hired me there. You know, I was an aide my first year at Collinsville. And man, I had more fun working. I was with, you know, Chris Karn and Mitch Loudermilk, all those, you know, those Collinsville guys then. And man, they were good, and it was so much fun. I had forgotten that piece of athletics. Playing in college, you hate to say it becomes a job, but college sports is hard.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people. There's only so many positions, and you're fighting every day. When you go back to high school, man, you realize these kids who've grown up together, just how special that is. So
we went Danny with an A, then you went to Aubrey with GA.
Yep.
And then you
Aubrey with GA. Yes, sir.
left GA to go to Wakeland.
So GA retired.
Okay.
Okay, and then it was Mike Zagleski for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then Coach Ivy was coming in after Zagleski's 2 years. Keith Ivy was from Seymour. And I had an opportunity to work with him. He's a fabulous coach. I worked with him for that spring semester. Him and Coach Bladel and all them guys who they're still there, and they have a great program there. I mean, they've done a tremendous job. And then I got a job at Wakeland with Marty Secord. You had Chad Cole, who is a Pilot Point alum, offensive coordinator at Wakeland, and I had called him and just said, man, it's time for me to make. Every coach knows it's time for me to make a move.
Yeah.
So I called him. He talked to Coach Secord, and so I went from an Aubrey high school offensive coordinator. I went to a freshman offensive line coach.
All right.
At Frisco Wakeland.
Yeah.
So and it was just, again, that year, just everything I've learned. And Coach Secord worked with GA, so they're from the same stock there. And you talk about two of the most awesome individuals to mentor coaches. I can't say enough about Marty Secord and GA Moore as far as what they taught indirectly. Again, how to show up on time, how to love on these kids, how to do little things to make kids appreciate, the program and understand what it is to be a mentor. That hey, there are all eyes on you at all the times. I mean, it's a huge deal to be in that role. Yeah. So again, those two guys are role models that you couldn't say enough about.
And then you pre-Pilot Point, it was Chad Cole at Reedy was the last stop there.
Correct.
As the offensive coordinator.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then your playing career was Jerry Jones, Baca, GA Moore. Is that the three here?
Yeah, I had three in my high school career.
When you look at where you're sitting now, and this doesn't have to be a one-person answer, how did those guys impact you to get to the point that you are right now? But I know it's a huge question for you to wrap your head around real quick.
It is. And I would say probably most of it is, again, what I kept talking about was the relationship piece. I mean, you can think back, a lot of the things that we do as a staff, I mean, even with Coach David, I remember coming off a 2-a-day practice and Coach Moore would have watermelon for us after practice, just for no reason at all. I mean, it might have been the worst practice ever because it was hot. But he would always, send you home, with something to make you feel good about what you did. And I remember, it was, if you didn't wear your socks the right way, if you didn't have your stuff hung in your locker the right way, all of these little things that he was always, again, when you first get with somebody like that, you're like, this guy's on my case all the time about something. But when you get older, you look back and say, man, he was just setting me up to be successful. Yeah. Because you hit all them small things, those big things take care of themselves. Yeah. So that's why in this program, again, a lot of stuff that we harp on these kids about, with making them take their earrings out, making them say yes ma'am, no ma'am, stuff, just little stuff like that. It's molding them into what we want as a citizen, as a father, as a leader, in the community. So again, you take that from those guys right there, and that's it. That's why we're all in this. We're creating. Your job isn't to win football games. Your job is to take those kids and make them better people.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then my last question for you, and this is going to be a really, really broad question. God willing, 5 years from now, you're still sitting in the same chair. I know with there's two types of coaches, hired and fired. Man. But 5 years from now, what do you envision for Pilot Point? In a perfect world, in utopia, where everything goes the way that Coach Peacock wants it to go, where is Pilot Point, not as a football program, but as an athletic program?
As an athletic program, we talk about, the growth we have coming, with everything. And I've told several people, what my main focus is right now is putting pillars in place, like my assistant coaches and our belief system and, how we do everything, and getting that to hold strong as we get all of these outside influences moving into the community. Because Pilot Point was built on, and it's still there. We have a lot of multi-generational kids in our program, and you look back and when someone moving from California, we have kids moving in all the time, and what we don't want to lose is what built us, what made Pilot Point special. Yeah. So big picture, as growth comes, and they're saying in 10 years, we're going to have 40,000 people. I mean, these numbers, it's hard to believe these numbers you're hearing, these astronomical numbers. And you look up and you say, we don't want to lose our identity.
Yeah.
I mean, who are we? I mean, again, we break out the built different, and that's one thing with the kids. We want to know that, we want this place to be special.
Yeah.
So to do that, you got to do special things. And that's why, we hold our kids to such a high standard. Sometimes they think it's unattainable, but we always set that bar to where they're always striving for something.
Yeah.
Again, and that's, as we grow and as this program in town get big, I want us to hold on to what got us here. And that was hard work. I mean, that's faith, that's family, that's,
Yeah. Well, I know as the 3 guys sitting here that are Pilot Point graduates, it is an extreme thing that I say with pride that I'm from Pilot Point, Texas.
Absolutely.
And I think the pieces are in place that we can make that still be something that everybody can be very, very proud of. Now, Chance, I know I started talking while you were taking that breath.
You've made one big splash already. At least I think it was you. As far as changes, is we haven't talked uniforms. And as Keith stated on his Twitter, I hope Pilot Point's ready for this. Is that your first act as a coach, or was that in the making before you got the job?
Our uniforms?
Yes, sir.
It was the ball was rolling where in the transition, so I kind of jumped in on the tail end of it.
So if they hate it, they need to see the athletic director.
Absolutely. If they love it, it was Coach Peacock.
It was my idea.
Yeah.
If they hated it, was Coach David.
Exactly.
But no, we actually had a meeting, and Coach David, when Nike came and met with us, Coach David called me in here, and we sat down, and he was like, "Hey, tell these guys what you like." And again, we all sat down together, and again, I think it's going to be. I know the kids are going to like it. It looks awesome. They're going to look sharp. Again, that's as long as they come out and play sharp. We'll all be good.
Just live up to the uniform.
That's it. That's it. And it's when kids work hard and they do what you ask them to do. You want to do what's right by them. And they've worked hard enough that they deserve something nice. They really did. So, we went out. Thank goodness our booster club. They could help us out, and we were able to make that happen. Because again, uniforms are. Wow, those are expensive. Oh, holy cow, especially that Nike check on them. That's a lot of money right there. So, again, we were fortunate to have them help us out. Again, I'm excited for the kids to, they haven't seen them all together yet. I think a couple of them have tried to peek in our closet and see them hanging up. But, once it all comes out, again, if it gets those kids to, if it gets them high as a kite and they're ready to go out and play and knock heads and be successful, then, by gosh, we'll buy new uniforms every couple of years if that's what it takes, because we want.
Kind of like fast shoes.
That's it. If they make you faster, I'll buy them.
And then more of a topical question. Have you considered any changes as far as times on two-a-days with the heat wave and all that's going on?
Unfortunately, the times they've changed a little bit from what we're used to in the past, but not for the better, because we're starting school so early this year, August 10th. We are in service. We have in service the first day of fall camp. So, our first practice is 3:30 to 6:30. And it's like that the whole first week.
Literally.
It is, and it's going to be hot. But we've done our best to try to acclimate the kids the best you can. But when it's hot, it's hot. We do our best. Our Coach Peters, man, she keeps water out there for them. We got the shade donated for us with the covering. So, we're going to take care of them. But, I've told the kids, because a bunch of them were asking about going, can we go at 5 o'clock in the morning at Massey Stadium? I said, well, then all we're going to be doing is calling y'all at 4:45, want to know where y'all are at. I said, it's a beautiful idea. We would love it as coaches.
Yeah.
I said, but, when you're asking parents to get your freshman kid up there at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I said, you're asking a bunch. And plus, that second week, we roll out there in scrimmage Van Alstyne on Friday, they need to be acclimated because those first couple ones, they're brutal, and there's no way around it. So, you want your kids to have experienced what that feels like and how to try to recover in that heat because it's different. Texas heat right now is different.
I'm just not a fortune teller, but I can sense a comment from someone 2 weeks from now regarding the time of
it's
day.
probably coming. And the thing about it is, and UIL does a great job of providing guidance to us and guidance to the athletic trainers like Coach Peters. And they do a good job of giving us direction and guidelines and things to follow that to mitigate the risk.
Yep.
Well, Coach, thank you for your time. I know it's busy. I know you're busy. I think I've seen your phone go off about 18 times since we've been sitting here. But
I'll try to throw this thing once a day, just chunk it and go.
One last thing is the varsity locker room.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about what's going on in there, because I know we have some big thank yous to give out.
We do. I mean, I would say thank you number one, probably to my wife, Jackie. She
Rock star.
Yeah, she doesn't hear it enough from me, but she painted all the walls for him. She came in and did that. She painted the floor for him. I mean, we tried to help. We went in there one day as coaches and we tried to do the floor, and then she came in and looked at it and said, "Well, that looks horrible." So she took it over and redid the floor that we had already tried to do. So, I mean, hats off, to her. Every coach says they outkick their coverage. I mean, I really outkick mine. I mean, she's a rock star. And Kobe Chandler, here at Chandler Cabinets in town. Huge thank you to him. He's going to come in and put new lockers in for us. I mean, I think the lockers we had, I mean, I'm not sure how old they were. I mean,
you and I used them.
I thought they might have been the originals.
Yeah, those are the originals.
But, and they've done a good job, but, like everything else, man, time takes a toll. Yeah. So, again, it was just time. But, again, he came in and he's donating those for us. Again, if it wasn't for those people, it would be hard to get stuff like that done. Yeah. But there's so many people in this town who are willing to give. It's, again, just living here is a blessing. I know I sound repetitive when I say that, but I'm proud to be from here.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, obviously I know I'll have a front row seat here, but we're excited about the future of the Bearcats. Excited for you. Excited for us. Having two boys that are coming up through the program. Gosh, it's scary to say a freshman and a seventh grader.
Fast, yeah.
Yeah, man. Life happens quick. It's nice to know that they're in a place where they're going to be taken care of. And, the way the coaching world works, if for some reason I were to get a job somewhere else and they stayed here, I know that they're going to get taken care of because they're getting taken care of by good men.
Absolutely.
Good men starts with the guy at the top. And so appreciate everything that you do for the program.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I guess I'll see you at work tomorrow morning. All right, Coach. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, we'd like to thank Coach Peacock for taking the time to sit down with us. Podcasts will be coming more regularly now that we're getting back into the grind of everything. Any final words after the interview with Coach Peacock there?
No, it was a good interview. If you guys noticed that I just vanished.
You did.
We were supposed to meet at 1. We backed it up to 1:30, and I had a 2:30 appointment. So
the real job.
I just up and walked out.
You did. You put your mic down and you were done.
Yeah.
But, big thank you to Coach Peacock again, and we look forward to continuing to cover the Bearcats. As always,
Go Bearcats.
Go Bearcats.